Hey, how's everyone doing? Today I'm going to be showing you how to complete the Alpha Omega Easter egg solo and co-op. I want to let you know before we start that I will not be including how to build the Raygun Mark.II variants because they are not required for the Easter egg, but I will show you how to get a free Raygun Mark.II. At some point in the future I probably will make Raygun Mark.II variant guides, but for now, since they're not needed, I'm going to hold off a little bit on that. So let's get started. As is the case with all BO4 Zombies maps, let's start with a class setup. The starting weapon should be the Strife, but if you want to bring in the MK.II, you can do that instead. Lethal equipment should be the Wraithfires. They're pretty useful for certain steps and are just good in general. Your specialist has to be the Path of Sorrows. A certain step will require it for solo players. For perks, you should bring in Dying Wish, Victorious Tortoise, Winter's Wail, and Stamina Up in your modifier slot. Stamina Up in the modifier slot will allow you to have an unlimited sprint and you'll be running around a lot, so it's pretty good for this Easter egg. For elixirs, you can bring in whatever you want. These don't matter as much, but I brought in Shopping Free, Perkaholic, Temporal Gift, and Undead Man Walking. Finally, a talisman is not required, but if you decide to bring one in, I recommend the Supercharged Crystal for an automatic Tier 3 specialist weapon. Keep in mind for everything listed above, if you do not have these, you do not have to bring them in. This is just what I use and it works for me. I'm not kidding about the Path of Sorrows though, bring that in because it will help you. Step 1 is going to have you turn on power, which is located in the powerhouse in the back of the map right here. For step 2, you need to turn on Pack-a-Punch. To do this, come down to the generators room inside the bunker and interact with this machine in the middle of the room. A lockdown will start that is time-based and you just need to survive for 1 full minute. When the lockdown ends, go above ground and 4 of the houses will be emitting Nova 6 gas from inside. You need to go to each one of the 4 houses and find a vent that has a valve on it. The 4 houses that have the gas will be random in every game and the vents will always be inside the house or just outside still touching the house. So just keep that in mind. When you find the 4 vents, you need to hold down your interact button on them until the pressure gauge is in the green. This is done to clean them. While doing this, zombies will spawn in that have more health and will be glowing green. To protect yourself, just throw down a Wraithfire at your feet. After all 4 have been cleaned, the Nova 6 gas will clear and Pack-a-Punch will be open in the beds area of the bunker. Right now, I'm going to show you how to build the shield and the teleporter, so let's get started with the shield. It has 3 parts with all 3 having 3 possible spawn locations. The first part can be found in operations leaning on these filing cabinets in the garage, on this desk next to the stairs, or on this knocked over filing cabinet upstairs. The second part can be found in the cul-de-sac under this couch in the rubble, leaning on the back of the bus, or leaning on this green car. The final part can be found in the beds on this couch, on this storage shelf, or in front of this dresser. I strongly suggest building the shield next to the APD because that's where you'll be for the boss fight. The teleporter once again has 3 parts with all of them having 3 different spawn locations. The first part can be found behind the brown house on these building materials, inside next to the doctor's chair, or next to the main entrance inside this locker. The next part can be found in the greenhouse inside the kitchen, in front of the stairs in this corner, or outside on the balcony. The final part can be found in the generator room next to this pile of concrete in the corner, next to these barrels in front of the entrance to the beds, and next to the main generator in front of the perk location. When you have all 3 parts, I recommend building the teleporter in the greenhouse on the 2nd floor. Step 3 starts by ending whatever round you're on after opening Pack-a-Punch. The base AI Rushmore will speak to you and tell you to go meet him in operations. Interact with him and he will introduce himself and he will tell you to activate Project Toy Soldier. You then need to find 4 codes written on pieces of paper and input them into the number pad on Rushmore's terminal in the order he tells you. The first code will always be the same and the other 3 will be random. As you input the codes, you'll be on a timer, so I suggest finding all of them first and then inputting the codes. The first code initiates Project Toy Soldier and the code is 7626. This one can be found to your back left in operations on this desk, and this is the only code that will always be the same. Go ahead and write it down if you need to remember it. The next code is Sawyer's access code. The numbers will always be random and it can spawn in the APD interrogation on this desk to the left of the entrance, on this desk directly in front of the entrance, or upstairs on these computer terminals. When you find it, write down the code along with Sawyer's name. This code will be the only one that has different spawn locations. The last 2 will always be in the same spot. The next code is McCain's access code. This can be found in the APD control room underneath these papers. Just shoot or melee them to move the papers, and this code will also always be random. Write down the code along with McCain's name. The final code is Purnell's access code. For this one, head over to Solitary and pick up this key from the key box on the wall. Then head over to the yellow house upstairs and unlock this desk with the key. A drawer will slide open, revealing the last code, and again, this one will always be random. Again, write down the code along with Purnell's name. When you have all 4 codes, run back to Rushmore and start putting in the codes in the order I showed them to you, or 7626, Sawyer authorization, McCain authorization, and Purnell authorization. Each time you put in a code, there will be a little pause before you can put in the next one, so if you can't put in a code after you've already done one, wait for Rushmore to tell you the timer has begun. Now you need to go buy Galvanuckles, and once you've bought those, then head down to the bunker and look for a TV that has static being displayed. It can spawn in one of 4 different locations: the diner in the walkway, beds on the left side of Pack-a-Punch, beds on the right side of Pack-a-Punch, or the lounge also in the walkway. When you found your TV, if you do not have subtitles on, then turn them on. This is super important because you'll need to be able to hear something, and if you can't hear, then it's better to read it. You need to melee a zombie in front of this TV with the Galvanuckles, and it will start to read out a set of 5 letters followed by numbers, and you need to write down everything that TV says. The letters will correspond to a specific house above ground, and the numbers will need to be converted into a time. After writing down all 5 sets of letters and numbers, you need to input each time into the clocks of the houses in the order that you received the codes in. I'm sure this sounds confusing, but once I've given you an example, this is actually very easy. First, let me show you which letters correspond to what house. The letters can be found on each house's respective mailbox. House A is the yellow house, and the mailbox is found here. House B is the green house, and the mailbox is found here. House C is the light blue house, and the mailbox can be found here. House D is the brown house. The mailbox can be found here. House E is the orange house. The mailbox can be found here. Finally, House F is the blue house, and the mailbox can be found here. I'm not going to tell you the locations of the clocks inside the houses because they look like this in every one of the houses, and they're really easy to find. Now here's an example. In my game, the codes that were given to me were E0215, then I got A0245, then C1200, then B1015, finally I got D0900. I wrote down all the codes in the order that I got them, and then I went into House E since that was my first code. If you hold down the interact button on the clock, the minute hand will move in increments of 15, and if you melee it, it will move in increments of 1 hour. So I did just that and set the time to 2:15. Then went on to House A and interacted with the clock until it was set on 2:45, and so on and so forth. Each time you put in a code correctly, a woman will tell you that clearance has been granted, turning on a trap to each house you can use. Now I bet you're asking, what about the last house? There's 5 codes but 6 houses. Well, if you put in all the times on the clocks, and by process of elimination find the house that was not listed in your codes, you then have to go over to that house and interact with the clock once. It will spin around until it lands on a time. You need to write down that time and input it on the number panel next to Rushmore. If everything up to this point is done correctly, he will make it seem like you failed the step and tell you, nope, sorry. When Rushmore is done talking, you can then move on to step 4. Before I explain the next step though, I said I would show you how to get a free Raygun Mark.II. When you did the last step, you should have went into House E and put in a code. Well, when you do that correctly, a case to the clock's left will open, allowing you to pick up the Raygun Mark.II, and it's as simple as that. Also, really quickly, when you do the same thing for House C, a weapon locker will open, allowing you to pick up a free pack-a-punched weapon, so you can grab that as well. This next step is going to have you interact with Rushmore, and he will have you find a red Nova Crawler. This Nova Crawler will be found inside the bunker, but it can spawn anywhere in the bunker. When you do find him, you need to escort him without killing him all the way to this set of stairs in the brown house, or if you want to call it, the D house. During this step, there's going to be an infinite amount of zombies, so just be super careful that when you are killing zombies, you're not aiming down close to the floor. Try and aim at their heads as much as possible. There's not really much else to say about this one, it's really just as simple as that. But let's say you do accidentally kill him, just flip the round and then you'll be able to look in the bunker for him again. For step 5, you need to interact with Rushmore. Once you've done this, go down to storage and activate this A.D.A.M unit and go to this door in between the diner and outside. Marlton from the Victus crew will get scared of the robot and throw out an Element 115 canister. You need to pick it up and bring it to the transfusion facility and place it here with the other canisters. To start step 6, you need to interact with Rushmore, and when he's done talking, you need to build the teleporter. When you do build it, or if you already have it built, place one side of it next to the power inside the powerhouse, and place the other side behind prisoner holding at the light blue house. Now you need to go back to the powerhouse and get a jolting jack, one of those blue little shits that crawls on the floor, and it needs to fire an electric blast at this server in the corner. When the jolting jack is about to fire, move out of the way at the last second to get the blast to hit the wall. If you've done it correctly, the glass case will open and you need to interact with the server in the middle to pull it out. Immediately after, you need to run through the teleporter and make your way into operations and put the server in this wall here. This is on a super short timer. If the server overheats, you'll need to do it again. Before you grab the server, I recommend buying stamina up, and as soon as you go through the teleporter, pull out your sword for another speed boost. When you've done that correctly, Rushmore will tell you to find access codes to finish installing the server. At this point, you need to get brain rot on a weapon and turn a zombie next to 3 different pictures that are glowing green. The first one can be found in the beds on this back wall, the next one can be found inside the lounge, and the final one can be found at the top of the stairs in the greenhouse. When you get a zombie turned next to all 3 of them, the zombie will rip the pictures off the walls, revealing 3 sets of 4-digit codes. These codes will be random in every game, and once you've wrote them down, make your way back to Rushmore and input the codes. It doesn't matter what order you do them in, and after you've done that, Rushmore will start to speak to you before freaking out because the power is about to shut off, and this is where step 7 starts. So this is going to require you to find 6 levers inside the bunker and flip them in a way so that all the lights on each of the levers are green and not red. This is super simple, and here are the locations with which way the levers need to be facing. There's one inside the diner, this one needs to be facing up, one in the beds, this one needs to be also up, one in the generators, this one needs to be up, one inside solitary, this one needs to be down, one in storage, this one needs to be down, and finally one inside the lounge. This one also needs to be down. When you found all the levers and they're all in the correct position with the lights being green, go back up to the powerhouse and turn on the power. Then you can move on to the final step before the boss fight. This final step has you interact with Rushmore again, and once he's done talking, you'll need to find 3 different mannequins around the map. These mannequins will be sparking and have a blue mist surrounding them. There will also only be 1 mannequin spawned in at a time. Each time you find a mannequin, you'll need to interact with it, and a lockdown lasting 1 minute will begin, locking you in the room or area that he is in. When the lockdown is over, the mannequin will disappear, leaving behind a body part, and you'll need to pick that part up. In total, you'll find 3 mannequins grabbing 3 different body parts, 2 arms, and a head. These mannequins will spawn anywhere in the map, above ground, or the bunker. There's not really a set list of locations, so you'll have to run around the map for this. I do know that the 4 most common spawns are the greenhouse backyard, the brown house backyard, the light blue house, and in the bunker in the lounge. When you've done all 3 lockdowns and grab all 3 body parts, run up to the APD interrogation room and place them on this body on the chair. A bunch of dialogue will be played between you and Peter McCain, and when the dialogue is over, you'll need to find his life force in the form of a blue ball. This blue ball will spawn inside any window in the map where a zombie can spawn. So for this, you'll really need to be running around and searching. After finding the orb, you'll need to stay as close to it as possible, and follow it all the way back to the APD interrogation room, where it will take Peter McCain's soul from the A.D.A.M, then fly away. If at any point you get too far from the orb, it will stop moving, so stay close. Now you're ready for the boss fight. Interact with Rushmore one more time, and at this point, if you still need to buy perks or go pack-a-punch, then go ahead and do that. Then run to the bottom of the APD and interact with this computer. All the zombies will despawn and turn into robots. The APD will now turn into a soul box, and you need to get kills until it stops taking in souls. It takes about 50 souls to fill up the canister. There are going to be 4, but you only need to fill up 1. After a minute or 2, the Avogadro will come out of the APD and a nuke will drop, and the boss fight will start. For this fight, there will be 4 soul boxes you need to fill up around the bunker, and if you look at the top of the computer you interacted with, it tells you what order you need to fill the soul boxes in. As far as I know, the order will always be the same in every game. Lounge, diner, storage, and beds. Each time you're about to fill up a soul box, interact with it and get 50 souls, then move on to the next one. You'll know it's filled when the souls stop going to it, so keep doing this until all 4 are filled. Let's talk about the Avogadro's attacks, because he can one-shot you if you've been hit by a zombie beforehand. Basically, you need to always be moving and never stand still. Try not to get too close to him, and if you have to run past him, be fast because his slam ability is lethal as fuck. If you stand still or are not moving fast enough, he will fly over to you and deal a massive amount of damage. When all 4 of the canisters are filled, you need to run back to the APD and wait for him to get there. When he does show up, you need to shoot him until he makes his way all the way back up to the door of the APD. If you shoot him into a corner, it will be really hard to get him out of the corner, so make sure you position yourself in a way where there's nothing behind him and he can move without getting caught on anything. Upon reaching the entrance to the APD, he will be sucked into it and dialogue will play for about a minute or so. When the APD opens back up, the elemental shard will be there and you just need to interact with it. When you do, the cutscene will start to play, signifying the Easter egg's completion, and you'll also receive the achievement Electromagnetic Awakening Party. So that's going to be it. I want to thank all of you for watching. This Easter egg is one giant fetch quest, which sucks because I do genuinely enjoy the map. And you guys can fight me on this in the comments because, you know, I know Alpha Omega isn't really that liked, but I like it, and that's me.
All of you!
Daddy, chill.
My next video is going to be the Togder Toten Easter egg guide. I hope you all have a great day. Bye.